There are very few people that are not familiar with the story of Jesus' crucifixion. He hung in between two probably killers, definitely thieves. Some have said they were more of an insurrectionist like Barabbas, who they swapped out for Jesus that day. But regardless, most of you know the story. They hung there. When they originally were hung on the cross, they were actually part of the mockery to Jesus, probably because they wanted to get sympathy with those that had actually been responsible for crucifying them. But regardless of their motivation, here's what we do know, is that those guys, one out of the two, one of them took a turn. Jesus spent probably about 6 hours on the cross. Those men hung in there, even though the Roman, their method and they found quite a lot of beauty in the crucifixion scene. It would look like a war zone. It would look like a crime scene. It was absolutely horrible. But the more they hung there, one of them became more vile, and the other one began to soften up and see Jesus for who he was. Jesus would say several things when he was on the cross, but one of the most monumental, life-changing statements would be made to one of those criminals that hung beside him. Today you will be with me in paradise. Today you will be with me in heaven. And all the guy did was simply say, remember me. And I just want you to know from that story, Jesus loves you, and he forgives regardless of the size of the sin. I know in America we got misdemeanors and felonies, and sometimes in the spiritual world we seem to think that people exist in those two realms. But Jesus is going to forgive regardless of the size of your sin. Also, I want you to know that Jesus did not save that guy because he was ready. He saved him because he repented. And that's a big thing, because there's so many people, and we talk to them, the whole staff at Crossbrand talks to folks all the time that simply say, I'm just not ready yet. And generally what that means is they think they got to clean up, they got to study up, or they got to church up to get to a point where Jesus will have them. And that is absolutely not the truth. And another thing that we got to remember about this whole scene, that bloody scene, gruesome scene that day, was Jesus made a positive promise to one that should have been a wake-up call to the other. Two men stood right there within earshot of Jesus, and one of them would go into eternity within just a few hours of when Jesus said that, and the other would also go into eternity. One would be with Jesus, and the other would not. Lost opportunity. So what's your deal? I don't know that you would identify as a thief or a criminal, but I will tell you today, the bottom line is that Jesus Christ loved you. On Sunday, we will celebrate the demonstration of that love by hanging on the cross. And if you've never invited him into your life to forgive you and give you hope and give you eternity, please do that today.